Shalom, Israel. I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, the Buanas to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom to the leg out there doing this work of faith and labor of love and true sincerity. I just want to get into a quick topic and land back on the video in which Apostle Ricard did, about the acceptance of our destiny, and just thinking about that term, accepting our destiny. It makes you think of a lot of different avenues, of our lives and just the things that we go through and the cross, that we have to bear, for this truth and for the love of the Lord. A lot of things in which, brothers go through and the things in which we have to sacrifice, the average man can't deal with those type of things, The average man can't deal with, his parents coming up against him or him being at odds with his parents. The average man can't deal with him not having his family members there or them not being on one accord. The average man can't accept, not celebrating these wicked holidays and things of that nature. The average man can accept, his woman just walking out on him and taking the kids and just going without utterly being heartbroken, But as us being men of the Lord and truly accepting our destiny, these are the things in which we have to constantly embrace and prepare, our minds for, because the evil and terrible times is we're here. We're here. They're slowly approaching, and day by day, it's only going to get worse, So just getting into this real quick. This is the book of Romans chapter. Slacky, I'm a little under the weather, but this is the this is the book of Romans chapter 8, verse 28, and we know that all things work together for good to them that love the Most High, to them who are the called according to His purpose. So it said, "What all things work together for good for them that love the Most High, to them that are called according to His purpose." Now, and one way in which you can say that we were predestined, for this truth is the fact that we were called, because just when you look at, the term predestinate or whatever, or destiny is just, a telling a foretime of something that would happen. It basically means like something that was firmly established, So just us being in this truth right now, this had to have been firmly established by Yahweh Shai from the times of old. Because we know what, according, to the Most High's word, when you go into what Isaiah 42, I believe, verse 8 and 9, the Lord said, before these things spring forth, I'll tell you of them, So even with our lives, everything was all mapped out. So we were, in a way, we were predestined to actually be called into this truth. But Lord willing, we'll be predestined, to be chosen by Yahweh Shai, to be a part of that elect, So I read that again. It says, "And we know that all things work together for good to them that love the Most High, to them who are called according to His purpose." And, also when you think about that, you can recognize how, Yahweh Shai truly predestined us to be called into this truth. Because when you look at, your life in the world, you can see the steps that led up until you being in this truth and how the Most High, is constantly guiding you, man. You could see the signs, if you really think upon it, because from my personal experience, when I looked upon, things of old, I saw how Yahweh Shai was lining up the different signs, that I was called to actually be a part of, this thing of ours, this truth, by leaving little signs there. But, when we're in the world, we might be ignoring them. We might see them in front of our face. But then soon enough, the Most High put something in your face where it's like, you have to acknowledge me. That's a sign that the Most High wants you. And He's trying to, withdraw you from your purpose, which will ultimately lead unto death, if we were to follow our own mind and our own ways, So this is verse 29. It says, "For whom He did foreknow, He also did predestinate to be conformed to the image for whom he did foreknow, for whom he also did predestinate to be conformed to the image of his son, that he might be the firstborn among many brethren. And it says, so what? We're supposed to be, he did predestinate us to be conformed to the image what of Yahweh Shai. And when you look up, the word conform, it says comply with the rules, standards, and laws. So it's like it. We know that we're supposed to be what in like mind of Yahweh Shai as it gets into First Peter's the 4th chapter. Let me just grab it. Since I just quoted it real quick. It's First Peter's chapter 4, verse 1. For as much then as Yahweh Shai have suffered for us in the flesh, arm yourselves likewise with the same mind. For he that have suffered in the flesh have ceased from sin. So if we are conformed, how did Yahweh Shai walk? He walked the earth as a perfect man. And when you look up the definition, it says what? The definition of conform, it says comply with the rules, standards, and laws. Now we know that we can't, according to this flesh, us walking the earth, that we can't be perfect, but we have to strive for that perfection, because it's all about the effort in which you put in, and Yahweh Shai, him being on the earth, walking as that perfect man, that clearly shows that he strived, to do so. The Most High allowed him to do it, but he strived to do that. So we have to strive to be as perfect as possible within his truth, knowing, that we can't be over righteous, but how the scriptures say, what, be not over wicked neither. So you got to know how to put things in its proper perspective as far as you trying to be a perfect man within your Yahweh Shem Shai, So it says, behave according to socially accepted conventions or standards. So if we have to behave accordingly to socially accepted conventions or standards, we have to behave accordingly while we walking within his brotherhood, while we walking within his truth. We can't behave ourselves as men of the world on one instance, and then trying to be a man of the Lord at the same time. You can't be double-minded about this thing. You can't really try to play, both sides of the fence. Now brothers do have, their little worldly pleasures or whatever, but regardless, your life for this truth is supposed to set precedence over the things of the world that you may have a liking unto, So I read this again. It says, for whom he did foreknow, he also did predestinate to be conformed to the image of his son, that he might be the firstborn among many brethren. So we're being truly conformed into what? The image, of Yahweh Shem Shai, of Yahweh Shai, then we're definitely going to walk accordingly. We're going to constantly examine ourselves and to put ourselves within the right mind frame to be able to conquer the ways of the world. Because when you look at Yahweh Shai, what? He was tempted by Satan, upon a mountain, so on and so forth. And we're constantly being tempted by Satan, But us conforming our mind, we think upon, the great acts and the deeds of the men of old, of our forefathers, and we gain strength from those situations and knowing how to combat Satan. That's very vital and very important within this truth. Okay? So I read on, it says, verse 30, moreover, whom he did predestinate, them he also called. And as I said before, as a form of being predestinated is us being called into this truth, okay? And whom he called, them he also justified. And whom he justified, them he also glorified. So in the end, the men that are truly predestined, or that have a destiny for this truth, will be the elect, because they will be glorified within the end. And Lord willing, Lord willing, that be us. And just as I said, you can constantly tell from the ways in which Yahweh Shem Shai have dealt with you from the times when you were in the world until now. you can see that constant path, how the Most High did predestine you for this truth, and how the scriptures say, uh, pretty much in Revelations, real quick. This is let's lock it. Revelations 2 and 4. Nevertheless, I have somewhat against thee, because thou hast lost, thou hast left thy first love. And you know, us being in the world, you know, we wasn't with our first love. Now, you may have had the ideology that when you went in the world, you might have been predestined to be a football player, a basketball player, you know, a musician, you know, an actor, you know, a great businessman, so on and so forth. But when you look at your life, the Most High always made your plans fall. Why? Because you truly weren't, you truly didn't have a destiny for those fields and those avenues. But the Most High guided your path accordingly to be in His truth, because this is what you were destined for. And the sufferings of this world and the things that weigh upon your mind, you have to accept those within your destiny, within the plight in which you're walking, as we're walking that narrow and that straight gate, you know, which is full of different obstacles to constantly try to get our mind entangled up with the ways of the world, you know. But if we're truly predestined by the Lord, you know, we will accept every avenue of this truth in which we have to go through, and we will embrace that with the full assurance of hope and faith unto the end, you know, because we know there's much more work to be done, and you know the end is at hand. You know, we're at the end of 2016, which has been the year to push, and great and terrible things have happened, and Lord willing, more great and terrible things are going to happen, and in the following year to come. You know, so with that, I just hope this quick segment was edifying, and I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and shalom select out there, doing this work of faith and labor of love and true sincerity. Shalom.